gentlemen, here I am again, back on our program, Travel Tips. Today, for a change, what I'm going to do, I'm going to review one of my first destinations. Today, I'm going to review the city called Athens. Athens, which is the capital of Greece. Now, before I review Athens, I'll talk a little bit about the history of Greece, history of Athens. Sorry to say. Now, Athens was one of the most important cities in the Middle East areas. It was the capital of Greece, as I've told you, and by then it was under the leadership of the Alexander the Great. If you've read about Alexander the Great, when that massive empire was still raving, Alexander the Great was one of those men who conquered the world from A to B, and including Africa and Egypt and all the way down to India. So Athens was the seat of the power of the Greek Empire. Now Athens sits right at the bottom of Greece. Greece is a massive country, as you can see, but Athens lies right at the bottom near the ocean there. That's where the capital is. It's got high temperatures in summer, so temperatures can go anything up about 40 degrees. So when you're going in summer, it's really hot. So later on, that was the Greek Empire. That's how big the Greek Empire was. Later, the Greek Empire was overpowered by the Romans. The Romans came and took over the Greek Empire, and the Greek Empire collapsed. And then they took over Athens. There was a battle, and Athens was taken over by the Romans, sorry to say. So, but the things, when the Romans took over the Greek Empire, they were very smart people, because the Greek were very, very intelligent people. They were very educated. They were very educated in construction, very educated in philosophy, in medicine, in theater. So when the Romans took over the Greek Empire, they kept most of the Greek civilization running, and actually they turned the Greek civilization as the key component of the Roman Empire. That's why the Bible, the New Testament in the Bible, it was all written in Greek. Why? And it was written during the time of the Roman Empire, because the Greek was the major language used in every university, in every academic institution. Greek was the official language used during the Roman Empire. So the Romans took on a lot, and they actually what they learned from the Greeks, they spread all over their empire. When you look around, most of the now the countries as we talk, you can see the Greek architecture in literally so many buildings. When you go down to central London, when you go to Germany, when you go to the US, you'll see Greek architecture still alive today. And this Greek architecture was forwarded by the Romans into their empire. So the Greek were very, 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 very important people in the history of Europe. So, but let's look around now. What is Greece at the moment? What's Greece at the moment? Greece, as you all know, after the downturn, Greece is in dire straits. Athens is full of poverty to the core. When you go to the countryside, you can see poverty like Africa. You know, people are poor. Greece has been abandoned. You know, you see businesses which have been overgrown by weeds, because people have abandoned them and went to different countries. So Greece is in dire straits as we're talking right now. But still, that does not stop the fact that the tourist industry is still alive and well. Why? Because Greece is a heaven of the historian. If you love history, Greece is a heaven for the historians. Everywhere you look, you can see history. There are monuments, there are archaeological sites. Everything you can think about from the times gone by, you can find in Athens. So that's why Athens is one of the most sought after destinations right now in Europe. So I will talk about briefly. I'll talk about the three major tourist attractions that that you are going to find in Athens, though they are much more than that. They have what they call the Acropolis. Acropolis is one of their biggest attractions. It's right in the city center. Now, what is the Acropolis? Acropolis was the seat of government for the Greek Empire. Acropolis was the seat of government. It was the seat of worship. Everything regarding worship, everything regarding their Roman god, their Greek gods, was centered on the Acropolis. So when you go up on the Acropolis, you can climb up on. It's right on the top of the hill. If you need energy to get up there, so you will see, they will show you where all the different temples used to be. Right now, most of them have been broken down because they were broken down during the takeover of the Acropolis during the war, and the building itself was also broken down. But they're trying to reconstruct it now to bring it back to the way it used to be. So the Acropolis is rich in history regarding Greece. They say that the god Athena, from whom the name Athens comes, was the woman god who used to be in charge of lewd behavior in the city. They say beautiful women used to be taken up to the Acropolis from all over the country, and from there they were unleashed onto the city to go and do prostitution in the city. It was such a dirty, immoral city Athens was. That's why when Paul in the Bible, when Paul came to Athens and he looked at Athens and he shook his head, and he didn't even stay there long because of the type of idolatry that was found in the city. So the Acropolis is one of the biggest attractions. Now this picture shows you actually how the Acropolis used to look in its heydays, when it was still in its glory days. That's the way the Acropolis used to look when all the temples were still intact and they were still in shape. These people had they had an art for constructions. When you look at how high the Acropolis is, you wonder how they built the thing, because it's right up on top of the mountain, and you wonder how did they carry all these stones and whatever to build that massive thing. So number two attraction in Athens is the old Olympic Stadium. The old Olympic Stadium. Now remember that the Olympics as the games, they were born in Athens. The Olympics as games were born in Greece. So they date back thousands of years back, and they were born in Athens, in Greece. So this is where the Olympic Games used to be. People used to come and gather and sit in this stadium, and they used to see runners running, before it became now an international thing. So the Olympics stadium is still there, right intact. Now that picture shows you them days when it was still in use in the olden times. Now talk about the Olympic Stadium. Another thing which brings people to see is the marathon. The marathon as well. The marathon was born in Greece. The marathon was born in Athens. Why? The marathon was born in Athens. There was, long time ago, there was a war. The Athenians were attacked by the Iranians on the other side of the city in a place called Marathonus. So the Athenians were outnumbered. There were just a few guys, a few soldiers, and they were outnumbered by the Iranians. So, but they said to themselves that if we have to fall, if we all have to die, we have to defend our country. So they made a strategy. They divided themselves into two groups. They fought the Iranians from two different fronts, and finally they overcame the Iranians. So now when the battle was won, so many of them actually died during that battle. And when you go to Marathonus, you'll see that tomb. The tomb is still there where all these men are buried. That's where the tomb is. You can see the tomb. That's where all the men that fell are still buried today. So when the battle was won, one of the soldiers was sent to go to the king and tell the king in Athens that the battle had been won. So he ran for 22 miles, 22 grueling miles in the blazing heat to go to and take the letter to the king that the battle has been won. And when he arrived in Athens, he handed the letter over to the king, and he fell down and he died straight away because of exhaustion. So now, in commemoration of that brave man who ran all the way to tell the king that the battle had been won, the marathon was born. So it starts all the way in Marathonas in Attica, and it finishes right here in this stadium, in the old stadium in the center of Athens. So the other thing that brings so many tourists to Athens is shopping. Athens has different markets. You know, we love markets. I love walking to the markets. These are traditional markets where you go and you buy all the different stuff. But they specialize in leather goods. You can buy leather shoes, you can buy leather sandals, you can buy original leather belts, proper leather, not the ching, this fake thing. You can buy the actual leather bags, leather jackets. So they sell leather products in abundance, and that's why people go to Athens to buy leather products. Apart from that, they also have fabrics. They sell nice fabrics, nice carving and stuff. They specialize in that as well. Apart from that, they also sell olive oil. They specialize in olive oil. You remember, this is a Mediterranean country, and they grow olives, so they have a very special touch of their olive oil. And when you go to the shops, you can find different types of olive oils in all categories, in all packagings, cans and bottles and whatever, and it's quite cheap as well to buy. So apart from that, there are so many other things why people come to Athens as well. Athens has got beautiful beaches as well. There are beautiful beaches. They have nice food. You know, it's it's a good place to go to. But the traffic traffic in Athens is chaotic. When you go to Athens in peak time in summer, the traffic is really chaotic, and you are advised to use the motorways. You know, during the Olympics, they were funded to build infrastructure, and they managed to build a massive motorway network. So you can use the motorways, but every motorway has a toll point. So you have to pay about €5 for you to get on the motorway to avoid all the traffic in the city center. But trust me, it's worth it. It's worth using the motorway if you intend to drive in Athens. They drive like mad. They're very impatient. When you drive around, they have this like that African feel. You know, they're very impatient. They will hoot you, but you just you take your time and you drive. It was my first city where I actually took time to drive, and I enjoyed it, respective. So, excuse me. So that's Athens for you today. And next time when I come back, I will review one of the hotels that I've used in Athens as a pointer. If you stay in a hotel within the city center itself, it's very expensive. Hotels within the city center are very expensive, so it's advisable that you stay on the outskirts of the city, and then you can drive in, or you can take a metro. They have a very good metro, very clean metro. I was surprised it's cleaner than the one in the UK. You can take the metro, and you come to the city center. You don't have to live within the city center. So on my next video, I'm going to review one of the hotels that I've used, which is fantastic. Next time, if you go to Athens, you can use that hotel. It's absolutely fabulous. But for today, that's all that we have. And bye-bye, and may God bless you. See you next time.